Welcome to Storytime by Kasper. Today's reading is from The Cult of Orabaras by Ellison. Prologue, Public Nudity. Cal looked in wonder at Iron. The massive city had walls that created a maze-like barrier. The many alleys that veered every which way made his head spin. Worse than the physical barriers stood the mental ones. He had to intentionally shut off his telepathy or risk madness. The sheer number of people living in the city was the cause. Going against his natural instincts was quite the difficult affair. However, there was a second issue to attend to. Unfortunately, his armour posed to create a new problem, and if Cal did not make his next move perfectly, his newfound friends would be forced to take a fall. Looking quickly at his fellow adventurers, he tried to figure out the best one to relay his message to. Should he tell the monk? Grez was a rather impulsive individual and would try to argue. Not to mention his strange monkey tail might lead to related trouble. That route was no good. Next he looked at Sneak Peek. The giant rogue was the only reason he was not dealing with trouble already. This was his last choice of confidence. He had a large list of crimes from what the rest of the group had informed the Psionic. That word reflected on Cal's mysterious powers. Hadron the Barbarian was rather like the monk, too impulsive to be of much help. That left both the Knight, Velros, and Paladin, Belwyn. These two were by far the most dependable. Thus, he warned them, both, as the guards finally noticed the second unusual person beside the giant. "I'm going to run away and have the guards chase. Pretend not to know me." He dashed away from the front gates before any had a chance to voice a complaint. Footsteps from behind told that he was being followed. Just as expected, of course. Cal had been worried that the moment he stepped into Iron that none would be able to see his armour. A long time back, a wizard had given him a magical set of armour. What the whimsical caster had not told him was the second magical property of his clothing. Unless those looking at him had the aptitude for magic, they would see nothing but his birthday suit. But being naked in a major city was only the first of his two problems. His race was the second. Cal was not a human like most who lived in Iron, nor was he an elf or a dwarf. Both these races had a couple members scattered nearby. He was not an orc or giant, which would have been met with hostility. Said hostility was already a problem for Sneak Peek. No, Cal was a tiefling. His mixed blood involved infernal origins, and considering his nudity, at least to the nearby guards, that spelled double trouble. Even as he ran down a relatively empty alley, one that had probably had crime at night from the looks of it, he still got a few shrieks. It's naked!" a human cried. A merchant, based on the wares he was holding. Cal wanted to protest that this was false, but he had no time. The guards reacted to the noise and were following. He foolishly turned around to inspect what had chased him. This forced his defences down, an unfortunate thing when he collided with another person. They wore heavy armour based on the pain his body felt on impact. That could only mean one thing. "Stop right there," the guard commanded. "You are under arrest for public nudity and—" The tall soldier looked at the tiefling up and down. "And for being a monster. Yes, that is right." "I'm not a monster," Cal declared. He would not bother denying the nudity. "Is that an admission of guilt for nakedness?" one of the guards from behind demanded and grabbed him. He could not get thrown in prison, especially if it would reflect badly on the rest of his friends. Cal also would not fight them. Escalating this attempted arrest would only lead to worse things. The tiefling did the only reasonable thing in this situation. He flew into the air and demonstrated that the wings on his back were not just for show. "Not so fast." one of the guards yelled from below. "You'll not get away, lawbreaker." Cal intended to do just that. Admittedly, his plan was not so great, since eventually he would need to return. But for now he needed to get away from this alley. While he was in the air, the buildings around him all rose to a considerable height. He was still an easy target to hit with projectiles. From the corner of his eye he saw an object flash as it flew to his position. Cal had little room to manoeuvre, but the tiefling had been in worse situations than this. Whether that remained true was debatable when the truth of the attack made itself known. It was no arrow that Cal had failed to dodge. It was a net. The heavy contraption was pulling him towards the ground, and if he used any of his spells, there was too much risk of harming innocents. What sort of city has guards that carry nets? "Get the captain," one of the guards commanded to the rest. "I'll watch him." Cal groaned, realizing he could be trapped here for quite a while. However, his terrible luck ran out almost immediately. A new guard entered the alley, and his armour indicated that he was far more important than the others. The captain wasted no time asking the important questions and pulled out a long blade. The look on the human's face warned Cal that if he answered wrong, his throat and head would be separated. "Why are you here, monster?" "I am not a monster," the tiefling responded once again. Yet as far as appearances were concerned, this was false. I may look like one, but I promise I'm not." "Even if you are no monster, you are still naked in the city. That is against the law in most of Spacia." A quick reading of the captain's mind showed Cal how he was to get out of this situation. "I am here for the festival." Cal had no idea what this event was, but it was the only way to avoid falling behind bars. "Is that so?" The captain did not look convinced. This gave the Psionic a second idea. "Please work." Casting a telepathic command, the tiefling forced the idea that he and the captain were friends. "Very well." The captain's face softened. "You there. Take him to proper lodgings and get some clothes, sir." Cal was unable to do so. It was one of the side effects of his armour. Whatever this festival was, he could not be arrested for all but the most serious of crimes. Now he just had to attend, whatever that